Cardinals are the only remaining unbeaten team, but will they be alone at the top of Nick's newest NFL tiers to be unveiled in just a few minutes? LeBron James getting locked in for year 19, but was he disrespected in the latest NBA GM survey? If we're asking, you know he was. And we are waiting all week for Sunday night. The Bills, the Chiefs. Good Wednesday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. I'm in a fabulous mood. Just thought I'd throw that out there. We got Nick Wright, Chris Broussard, jamming on the one, Chris. Little Kevin Wilds. All right, Tree of Trust, cone of safety, Nick. We're all, it's just us. Be honest. You a little nervous, Bills Chiefs. Be honest. Right here, it's just us.
I'm more nervous about which member of our staff is going to get fired for the ridiculous question on the bottom of the screen. Josh Allen's got to focus on being better than Taylor Heineke before he has to worry about being better than Patrick Mahomes. Have people watched Josh Allen this year? Are the Bills games on television? I'm not certain.
For those of you watching at home, nobody's getting fired. It was a rhetorical firing.
Well,
we start in Brooklyn this morning, where most of the Nets held their first practice of the season. We say most because noticeably absent Kyrie Irving. He's still in limbo with New York's vaccine mandate, and the Nets remain unclear on whether he plans to get the vaccine at all. If he doesn't, no home practice, no home games. Nets head coach Steve Nash was asked if they could possibly move their practices out of New York to accommodate Kyrie, to which he said no. No. This is our home. Yeah. This is where we're going to practice. And we have almost a whole group, so that's a positive. And we're just working at getting better every day and focusing on the things we can control. All right, so you're going to ask, well, financially, what does this mean? So here's a look. I know. Here's a look at the financial side of this, courtesy of Bobby Marks. Kyrie set to lose more than $380,000 for each missed home game. Take that in. Chris Broussard, I'll start with you. How should the Brooklyn Nets handle the Kyrie situation, which has now become a situation?
Yeah, Jenna, they clearly need guidance, and I'm going to give them some. All right, so if Kyrie can't play in home games and practices, first of all, you try to trade him. All right, and I'm sending him to the Knicks boy down in Philadelphia, Daryl Morey. My problem for your problem, Kyrie Irving for Ben Simmons. I hate the trade in the division. That's going to make Philadelphia pretty good. It's going to make New Jersey or Brooklyn is going to help them. But we both got problems. Let's do it. Now, as our Nick Wright reported a couple weeks ago, Kyrie's people have told the Nets that he'll retire if he's traded. So if a trade is off the table, then I'm doing this. Kyrie, we're sitting down, not mean-spirited, no banishment, but we're giving you a COVID exemption. All right? We're giving you a COVID exemption where you're obviously not playing in home games, but you're not playing in road games either. You're not with the team at all. You're away. Just like in the bubble, you're away. We're giving you a COVID exemption. You still get half your salary. We can't do anything about that. You won't be paid for home games because you're not available, but you will get your money for your road games that you're not playing in. The exemption would last this long, either until your contract ends at the end of this season, either until you decide to get vaccinated, or until New York changes its law and would allow you to play and practice within the state. That's it. That's what I'm doing, because chemistry is important. You cannot win an NBA championship. This is not AAU. I know there's similarities, and people call the NBA glorified AAU. It is not. You need chemistry and you need continuity to win a championship. And they will not win a championship with Kyrie popping in and out of the lineup, and not practicing. All right, because most of their practices will be at home. We learned that with my Clippers, Jenna, a couple years ago. Kawhi Leonard, because of load management, in and out of the lineup, right? And it came back to bite them in the playoffs. And the Nets are good enough to win a championship without Kyrie. James Harden almost won one with just Chris Paul. He can do it with Kevin Durant and a really solid supporting cast. Last thing, Kyrie, as great as he is, and you guys know, I'm on the record, first ballot Hall of Famer in my book. But as great as he is, he hasn't had much of an impact on winning. All right, when he was first with the Nets, played 20 games.
That's
Kevin
correct.
Durant was out all year. They were 8-12 with Kyrie, Nick. They were 27-25 and made the playoffs without him. We remember Boston. Without him, they go to Game 7 against LeBron in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
With him, they go out in the second round in 5 games. So, Nick, I'm giving Kyrie a COVID exemption. You're gone. It's the only way to get rid of the distraction for the entire year, unless he, gets vaccinated.
Listen, this has reached almost farcical at where we're at now. And I know there are folks out there that believe, and I imagine the Nets or some of them, or at least hope, Kyrie's going to get vaccinated at the last minute. I think that if he does that, it is such an indictment on this entire process that I don't believe that's the case. For Kyrie to do that, it's not like there's new data or information or FDA approval that is just days away. If that is what ends up happening here, then this whole thing has been, with all due respect, a look at me, I'm so unique, I'm so interesting, but I'll actually do what I was always going to do. So I don't think he's doing that. I think that Kyrie Irving, for some reason or another, I'm sure there's a YouTube video that could elucidate me on it, has decided this is the route he is going to take. And if that is the case, I do not understand how anyone can look at the Nets and say they are championship favorites or anything close to it. And by the way, even if Kyrie at the last moment does get vaccinated, I feel the same way. What do we have with the Brooklyn Nets? We have Kevin Durant, one of the 15 greatest players in the history of the game, still at the peak of his powers, unimpeachable on both ends of the court. That's a really good thing to have. Then you have James Harden, who, as great as he is, his next great playoff moment will be his first. Then you have Kyrie Irving, who missed the playoffs in part of the playoffs or the end of the playoffs in 15, in 18, in 20, in 21, and who you have no reason to believe is going to be around, even if he's vaccinated, throughout the entirety of the season. Whether it's through injury, sabbatical, or what phase of the moon we're in, Kyrie's not going to be there the whole year. So why is it that folks are still acting like the big three in Brooklyn is a thing? It wasn't a thing last year during the regular season. It wasn't a thing last year during the postseason. It's not a thing right now during the preseason. And I personally don't believe, as great as Durant is, that Durant, Harden, and then a bunch of, at this point in their career, journeymen, is a good enough team to win 4 straight playoff series, to beat the Bucks, to beat the Lakers, to beat the Heat coming out. I think they have a good chance beating the Heat, but to do all those in sequence, I should say. So, like, the Nets Wilds are an idea. The Nets are an NFT. The Nets are something that sounds good, but they don't actually exist. And so, like, Kyrie is already setting the table for the big three in Brooklyn to be this year much like it was last year. Something that in 2K is unbeatable. But in real life, we have no evidence that it actually exists. So, yeah, years off to a rousing start for the 7th place NBA finishers last year, the defending champion Brooklyn Nets.
Okay, I agree with you both on a lot of points. Except there's one part of me that still thinks, it could work. It could work, and here's why. We saw Last Dance and Phil Jackson. What happened? Well, Scottie Pippen has surgery before the season, misses the beginning of the season on purpose. Phil Jackson, calm, says, you know what? I can make this work. Dennis Rodman on the team, mercurial guy, says,